Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Through the Keyhole, the show that walks right in and makes itself at home by the firesides of the famous. Tonight, as always, we've borrowed the keys to two fascinating homes belonging to well-known personalities, and with the help of the sainted Lloyd Grossman, our beloved house detective, we'll be taking a privileged peep behind closed doors. The only question is, whose? Well, to try and answer that question, we have an inspired mix of the functional and the elegant. Our first panelist can talk for hours on any given subject, and days if she knows anything about it. The femme fatale of Fleet Street, Miss Nina Mishkoff. Our second panelist began his career by working on no fewer than 6 stations, 4 radio and 2 petrol. Mr. Nicky Campbell. With nearly 2,000 appearances on Countdown, our third panelist has handled more letters than Postman Pat. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rearrange the following words into a well-known phrase or saying? Welcome, please, Vorderman Carroll. Well, let me tell you a little bit about the game. With the aid of these old magic keys here, we're going to be taking a careful look inside 2 fascinating homes. And that should tell us something, maybe quite a lot, about the person or persons who live there. All our friends over here have got to do is to work out who that is. So let's join Lloyd right now at house number 1. And watch closely, because remember, the clues are there as we go through the keyhole.
This little entrance hall is perfect for a couple who like mucking around in bad weather. It's got a wonderful, sturdy, weatherproof floor here, a huge array of umbrellas, and all these sort of dry bones, ideal things for tramping around in the rain and the sleet and the snow. Now, most people have pin-ups on their pin boards, either of a favorite holiday resort or of one of their idols or something, but this person's a real foodie because they've got a rather sexy photograph of some olive oil. Here in this very cozy drawing room, the books show a real love of food and drink as well. Look, we've got classic Chinese cuisine and the rather serious-looking Wine Atlas of France and Traveller's Guide. Now, this is the oldest part of the house, and in spite of all these rather jazzy modern pictures, it has a great traditional cottagey feel, helped largely by this vast 17th century stone hearth. Now, there are exotic touches in this room as well, like the fabric on this bench. It's got a sort of Indonesian Oriental feel to it. And I think that these people love traveling. They've certainly got a whole basket full of travel books. They've been to Ireland, they've been to Beijing, they've been all over the place. Travel is obviously a great hobby with them. And they've picked up quite a few things along the way as well. There are lots of Oriental knickknacks scattered about. But basically, their hearts are still here at home, and there are wonderful cottagey touches in this room, like these bunches of lavender. This is a nice and big eat-in kitchen. It's got a dining table that seats at least 6 people, and it shows that cooking in this house is a real sort of social event. Guests are supposed to be interested in it, maybe even to join in as well. Now, this is very much a serious cook's kitchen. We, of course, have the statutory Aga, in a wonderful shade of green, this one, but also an electric hob, so all sorts of cooking can take place here. There's an interest in exotic and high-class ingredients, so there are lots of trendy things here, like raspberry vinegar, cumin seed, capers, wild rice, and lots of stuff that's evocative of the south of France and the Mediterranean. Great strings of garlic, red chilies, and terrific loads of ingredients, herbs and spices, all in these wonderful Provençal crocs. There's a great collection here of decorative doorstops, and they all hint at the sunny south as well. There's an orange tree, and there's some Van Goghian sunflowers. There's plenty of enthralling reading material here in the bedroom. There's evidence of a taste for rather highbrow contemporary English literature. We've got books by Julian Barnes and Anita Bruckner. And then over here, there's a Welsh dictionary and surprisingly glossy magazines. I say surprisingly because this room seems so cottagey. You don't expect someone who lives here to be switched into the Vogue scene. But in fact, this bedroom has lots of rather stylish touches, like these very smart paper lampshades with ribbons around them. So whoever lives here is very conscious of style and design and fashion. There are more hints here of some sort of love of Wales. There are two splendid paintings, one of back-to-back cottages in a Welsh village, and the other one of the well-known Mumbles Pier in South Wales. Now let's look at the evidence. The sunny doorstop, the Provençal flavors, the Welsh lexicon. Who lives in a house like this? David, it's over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Lloyd. And now for our home and studio audience, but not for our panel. Here's whose house it is. Not easy, and I must say, Lloyd's idea of evidence in this particular one, well, you're on your own here, I think. Nina, good luck.
Thank you, David. Well, I haven't a clue whose house it is, but I'd love to be invited as a guest, particularly for dinner, because it looks like it would be absolutely wonderful. I think there's a lovely feel to the place. And I love the whole Provençal touch, that sort of the sunny south of France. So is this a professional traveller of any kind?
No, it's not really.
Somebody connected with journalism, perhaps, or news? Or cookery. She said in desperation.
Yes, well, I think connected with journalism and news, I think that we ought to give you a sporadic...
What, a half ripple?
A sporadic ripple of applause. Nikki.
A raspberry ripple.
There it is. There it is. And there it is, the sporadic ripple, which is also to welcome you to the programme.
Well, great to be here, David. Yeah, connected with journalism would lead me on to a clue I don't think anyone else... well, Lloyd certainly didn't make mention of it. On the kitchen table there was a bowl full of lemons. So this person is obviously, if they're at all connected with journalism, an avid drinker of gin and tonic. An avid drinker, perhaps.
Ah, now that's a very interesting question. We'll have to ask her when she comes out.
It's, yeah, a tough one there. It's a beautiful taste, the house. What do I know about taste? But I was rather worried that, you know, what does one
no,
say
I think
when...
you're right. It is a lovely film.
You'd like to be invited too. Maybe the two of you could go together. Carol, what do you think?
I would say that it's a fairly young couple, possibly involved definitely in the media. It could be in advertising.
It's the woman we're looking for. It's not advertising, but you've got media, and the audience are absolutely right there.
Yeah. Now, Nina, having tried cookery, holidays, virtually everything else, extremely difficult.
Now, it is very difficult.
The Welsh side, now that interested me,
What?
the Welsh side of it. Because coming from Wales, you tend to notice, if we're talking about television personalities who might be involved, so that's really starting to lead me down. Wouldn't be anybody to do with weather, possibly?
Carry on, Carol. How did you get to that? It's brilliant.
Well, it's only because there are so very few Welsh clues that are ever given. Yeah. And when you sit at home and you see Welsh people on the television, you tend to log them down.
Right, so name the name.
I think it's Sian Lloyd.
You're absolutely right. Will you come through the keyhole? Sian Lloyd. Now that was by way of being a master, or indeed a mistress stroke there from Carol. I mean, wasn't it? Because there weren't a lot of clues in Lloyd's film.
No, I thought the clues were a bit dubious, if Lloyd doesn't mind me saying.
No, Lloyd's not here. You can say whatever you like.
Because the food thing isn't obvious in connection with me at all. I think Lloyd's own preferences...
Now, you're going to do a food series later, though, aren't you?
I've done a food series with BBC Wales, so I don't know whether you've seen that.
Okay, no, I haven't seen that.
What about all those lemons on the table? Was I whistling in the dark there?
I make lots of salad dressings with lots of olive oil and lemon juice. So that's what the lemons were, not gin and tonics.
More's a pity.
You won one award for the world's best female weather forecaster. That's
yes,
not a bad award.
Yes, that was quite a shock for me, quite a surprise, but lovely. We went out to Paris a weather festival in Paris. And presenters, presenters from around the world came, from Cuba and the States and China. And I was lucky enough to pick up the Presenters Award.
Oh, that's fantastic. What about the chewing gum incident? That's one of the legendary. What exactly happened?
Well, it was a live bulletin, as it is, and ITN cameras came to me a smidgen early. And I always, before doing a weather forecast, put a piece of chewing gum in my mouth to freshen my mouth. And the cameras came to me early. Of course, I stood there chewing gum. I had to get rid of it. You can't talk when you've got a mouthful of chewing gum.
And did the cameras actually catch you getting rid of it, or...?
Well, I thought I'd sneakily turn to the weather map and spit it out on the floor. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, and I actually spat it in the middle of Wales.
And, of course, the other thing weather forecasts have to learn to do is to do these wonderful hand movements when they can't see what's behind them.
You don't see a thing.
The vague movements, don't they?
This is why we use such large hands, because a hand that size covers a lot of geographical area.
Because it's just a blank screen behind you,
see
isn't
absolutely
it?
nothing.
And so that's why people say, and over here in East Anglia. But you never say in Norwich, because you couldn't possibly...
But the worst thing for a female forecaster is the shoes. Now, if I've got heels on, the northwest of Scotland is fine, I can manage it. If I've got flat shoes on, it's a real stretch.
So they don't get a forecast on that occasion. So are you going to branch out into more cooking things?
I hope to. That's the other passion of my life, food. And I think I'm happiest of all when I can combine the two, the food and the weather. If I can eat a meal al fresco, wow, am I happy.
And you've got this tremendous advantage of knowing when you can go al fresco and when you can't.
Doesn't always work out.
Are you better on the weather than other people, or do you get caught like everybody else?
I get caught
with a barbecue
with a
in it suddenly. Yeah. Well, we have here a souvenir for your home, which Nina and Nikki are looking forward to an invitation to. And
Thank you.
There it is, through the Keyhole key, as a souvenir of us saying thanks ever so much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. We'll take a break. I wonder who's next.